In this week's episode, we check out my new books this week. We go to Crazy Comics in Columbus. What did we get on Wonder Woman Day? What were the free books? We also check out the new books and artwork I purchased while I was at Jim and Dan's comic and toy show from this past weekend. Hey, what's up, nerds? Welcome to this week's episode of Nerdistic Tendencies. I am your host, Ray Hale. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that ringy dingy so you get all the notifications when my new videos come up. Don't forget to check out my social media and see whatever comic book giveaways I'm doing this week. First thing this week is we get to check out the new books that I purchased from my local comic book shop, Bell Book and Comic. Let's go check those out. Okay, so let's check out books that I purchased this week from Bell. It's a big week of keys, so let's check out some of these books. So this next one is actually a Toy Biz reprint, but the original book is a key. It's a big key. It's the first appearance of Asteroid M, third appearance of Magneto, second appearance of the Scarlet Witch, second appearance of Quicksilver, and the second team appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. This is X-Men number 5. Now, like I said, this is a Toy Biz reprint, which meant that this came with, I believe it was some Toy Biz Marvel Legends action figures. So there's not a lot of them that are out there. So as far as reprints are concerned, there is a little bit of a value to them. Not anything crazy. This is probably a $2 book. But still, it's pretty good to have. Chance of me getting an X-Men number 5 anytime soon, it ain't gonna happen. But we got some more X-Men here. So this next one here is X-Men 82. Now, as I've said before in previous videos, at a certain point in time in the original X-Men run, it wasn't a popular book. It was facing cancellation a number of times. So in order to save money, they kept the book going, but then they just started to reprint earlier stories. This is one of those. And this one as well. This is Uncanny X-Men number 89. And one more. This is a classic cover. I absolutely love this cover. This has showed up in a number of other reprints. This is Uncanny X-Men 93. This is the last reprint comic before 94, where the Claremont era begins. So that is really cool. Now we have another Uncanny X-Men book. It is a big key. It is the Dark Phoenix Part 3, first appearance of Jean Grey as the Black Queen. Big deal. We're talking Dark Phoenix saga here. Third appearance of Kitty Pryde. The first cover appearance of the White Queen, Emma Frost. And the second appearance of the Dazzler. Uncanny X-Men 131. This book for my collection was huge because this essentially meant that it filled a gap in my collection. Now, by having 131, I have now collected X-Men 101 all the way to like X-Men 368. And that's really cool because this is my favorite comic book run of all time. Got more to do. There's well over 500 issues in this run, but I'm more than halfway there. The first 100 issues are going to be very expensive. The other one's not so much. It's just a matter of when you find them. But this is a big book. I was really happy to get this. This actually came out of a collection that Pete Bell at Bell Book and Comic purchased from, I believe it was another dealer. So I got first crack at this, and I was super excited about it. This next one is huge. It is another key. Demon in a Bottle Part 9, the iconic Bob Layton cover. This is Iron Man number 128. If you're a comic book fan, you recognize the cover. This is a huge issue. This run in the comic books, themes from this Demon in a Bottle storyline is what fed the MCU movies, Iron Man, Iron Man 2. You know, it comes out Tony Stark is a alcoholic, which certainly fit the Marvel themes of adding realism to their stories. Like I said, this is a huge, huge book. Couldn't believe I got this one too, but I got this one for a really good price. It's mid-grade. It is also a direct. It's not a newsstand edition, which are a lot more valuable. But still, Iron Man 128, another one of those books that I didn't know I'd ever have in my collection. So that was really cool. Just a few more books here. Okay, so we got some Thor keys here. This first one here, the Mighty Thor 364. It shows Thor being transformed into Throg, the Thor frog. Okay, it's also the first appearance of Puddlegut, who is a frog who later wields the hammer named Frognor as Throg. So, like I said, the misconception that Thor turns into the frog version of the hero in this issue, but it doesn't occur until Thor 365. Okay? Thor first appears as a frog in Thor 363, the issue previous. The MCU Easter egg involving Throg shows the character in a glass jar labeled T365, referencing this next issue, Thor 365. It is the first full appearance of Throg. And Thor 366. So that Easter egg is actually in an episode of Loki. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It was pretty cool to see Throg in there as well. So that's everything that I picked up from Bell this week. Between the convention and everything else, it was a huge week for key comic books. So life doesn't get much better than this. Life is good. Let me know what you think in the comments. Recently, I went down to Columbus to spend the weekend with my awesome cousin Michelle and her husband Rob for our annual Halloween weekend, and it was awesome. But while we were there, I stopped by at Crazy Comics in Columbus. So let's go check out some of the books that I had picked up. Okay, as I stated before, during a trip down to Columbus, I was able to go to a new comic book store, Crazy Comics in Columbus. Picked up 4 comic books. Let's check them out. First 2, not that big of a deal. They do fill holes and gaps in some of these runs. This is Avengers West Coast number 88. Next one is a really cool cover, but not a key. It is the Incredible Hulk 354. Now, 2 keys here. This next one is the 3rd appearance of the Vision. It is also the first time that Hank Pym becomes Yellow Jacket. This is Avengers number 59. Again, late 60s issue of the Avengers. This very old copy. Book had a little bit of a price tag on it, but it's mid-grade, so I was able to save a few bucks there. This is a big key for my collection, especially in that early Avengers run. And finally, the last book is the first appearance of Grotesque, and the origin of Cyclops continues. This is the Uncanny X-Men issue number 41. Now this too was a little pricey, but this is actually a pretty clean copy of it. Say high mid-grade, low high grade. So, which meant cheaper price for me. So I said I don't have to have things in a high grade because I do read the books. I don't do a whole lot of CGC slabbing of books. So this was really cool. Thank you very much, Michelle, for finding this store for me, and for everyone taking a little time out of the holiday weekend or Halloween weekend for me to be a nerd for a few minutes. So this is really cool. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. In the nerd world, October 21st was Wonder Woman Day. And for Wonder Woman Day this year, a couple of free books were given out at your local comic book store. Let's go take a deeper dive and check out what those books were. Now, these are the 3 books that are available for free at your local comic book store for Wonder Woman Day. This one here is actually an excerpt from the New York Times best-selling author Shannon Hale and Dean Hale for their book Diana, Princess of the Amazons, illustrated by Victoria Yang. Artwork in this is actually pretty cool. It's a piece of the book that's going on sale, same as this one. This one here is meant for younger children, and these 2 here are meant for older teens and adults. So this one here is actually the first chapter of a new graphic novel coming out called Wonder Woman True Lies. This one here is actually based off of a graphic novel coming out called Wonder Woman Warbringer. So like I said, this year, October 31st was Wonder Woman Day. It's a promotion that DC put out earlier in the year. They did a Batman Day. This time around, it's a Wonder Woman Day. So stop by your local comic book store. Pick up these 3. Hey, you never know. If you read them, you might want to get the books that it's advertising. So check them out. Still pretty cool. This past weekend was Jim and Dan's comic book and toy show at Wright State University. Went around, was over there, visited my friends at Bell Book and Comic who also had a booth. But I got to walk around and see some of the other tables. So these are the comic books and the artwork that I purchased this weekend. Let's check it out. So this is the first set of artwork. That's a nice Pennywise. You see you got the Michael Myers and the Exorcist artwork, not to mention one of my favorite bands of all time. You got the 3 members of Rush. This was all done by Alan's Art Images, and he does awesome work. This is the first time I've got the opportunity to see him at the show. I was actually introduced to him by Pete at Bell Book and Comic. Pete actually arranged to have the Rush pictures done, and I think they're awesome. I picked up the Pennywise for my wife Colleen, and Allison bought her mom a Michael Myers and bought me the Exorcist because I like the Exorcist. This next set of artwork is actually from Brian Neiford. I've actually showcased some of his art before on some of the old Universal monsters. He does awesome work. These 2 pictures I picked up again for my wife, who is a horror nut. As you can see, this is an awesome picture of Jason. And now we have an awesome picture of Michael Myers. So this past week we were able to see the new Halloween movie, which was pretty good, by the way. So yeah, again, it's a situation, I've said it before, supporting your local artists is, they're out there trying to make money selling their prints. This allows them to continue to make a living and do their art. This will be the next generation of comic book writers and artists. So you have to support them, especially if you don't really like the books that are out there now, or you're going to have to replace them with new blood. And these would be the people to do it. Next, we're going to take a look at the books that I picked up at Jim and Dan's Toy and Comic Expo. So this first one here is a book called Turkona. I haven't read this book yet, but it's an independent book by a gentleman by the name of Frank James Bailey. He was actually there. My daughter got to speak to him, and she purchased the comic book and got it signed. So it's another one of those deals where it's a local artist, so we want to support them so they can continue to do their art. Next we have an older book. This is Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, issue number 13. Now this is the original Luke Cage series that actually went in 3 different phases. So the first, I think 16 issues came out as Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, and then the title changed to Luke Cage, Power Man. And that ran from issue 17, I believe, to 49. And at 49, it became Power Man and Iron Fist. I have actually been collecting all of these runs. Very hard to come by, and when you do find one, it's usually really expensive. Speaking of which, I also found Power Man and Iron Fist, issue number 50. Like I said, this, at the 50th issue of Luke Cage, it became a team-up book with Iron Fist. So I got issue 50. Only missing a few more from this current run of Power Man and Iron Fist. It's actually a really good book, so if you haven't read any of this, check it out. Next, we have a copy of all new Hawkeye, issue number 1. Now, I actually have a copy of issue number 1, but this is a variant. This is the blank variant. As you can see, there is nothing on the cover. And they do these sometimes for shows to get other artists or the artists that draw some of the books to doodle on them at shows and sell them to other customers. So this one is a blank. So if I ever come across these artists, I can get them to sign it. Alright, 2 more books here. This next one is a key. It is the first crossover by the X-Men in the Avengers. Real early book. This is Avengers Number 53. This copy is a little beat up, as you can see. All of the white areas have yellowed and browned a bit. That's mostly due to age. And this is the first time the X-Men appear in an Avengers book. And that's pretty cool. This next one is really cool. It is a key. It is the first appearance and origin of She-Hulk. This is The Savage She-Hulk, issue number 1. This was an expensive book. Well, expensive for a working guy like me. But it's a direct edition. It is very clean. It is a high-grade copy. Ran me about $140 for one comic book. But it's still an awesome comic book. So I'm actually collecting this run. This Savage She-Hulk and Sensational She-Hulk runs are very hard to come by. They're not out there very often, and when you do see them, they're typically very expensive. I try and grab what I can. In this particular case, I couldn't walk away from this book. This is a book I've been wanting for a while. And it's high grade enough that you might consider sending it to CGC. So we'll see what happens. Not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but it's going in my collection, and that's awesome. So as you can see, this was a fantastic week. Some awesome books added to my collection. Big keys too. Another big announcement is, as of this past week, I am officially an employee of Bell Book and Comic. So if you're looking for a shop in the Dayton area, that's where you want to go. And if you happen to see me, say, hey, I like your show. Check me out. That's all the time that we have this week. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the ringy-dingy. Don't forget to check me out on social media where I give away free comics. So if you want free books, come check it out. Outside of that, that's it this week. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Do you want my Sanderson sister Squishmallows to feature in?
No. This past weekend was Jim and Dan's comic book toy. This past weekend was Jim and Dan's comic book toy. I did it again. What a dummy. The dummy.
You can't put that in.
I can do whatever I want.
Making fun of special needs.
No, I'm not.
Oh, was that not? I thought that's what you were doing.
No, I was making fun of me for being an idiot.
No.
All that bullshit. And don't forget to check me out on social media where I do.
Okay, guys. I'm going to start a new thing where each week I put a picture. This was my Mima at Kings Island with her Nobu. Hold on. With her Nobu. What a queen. Girl boss. She got the Nobu so the scary people wouldn't scare her. And it was in her scooter. So that's the weekly pick. Stay tuned for next week's.